what's the use case that we're trying to explore now?
Yeah. Okay. So Hypha is basically the governance tool, and it operates on the fractal principle, meaning that you can organize yourself in the thing that we call spaces. And each of these spaces, when I enter the space, each of these spaces has only three things. It has members. These members kind of are doing the government, and that government has some effect on the treasury or the other things. So in short, that's kind of the flow. And inside the membership, you can have two things. You can have other members, meaning people, or you can have other spaces. So in that, when you have other spaces, you are able to build this nested structure where in this context, it will be like the gathering is kind of one space. We call these big spaces the ecosystems. So you have the ecosystem, and then inside the ecosystem, you are able to go kind of to nested spaces, which again have the same principle, operate under the same thing, but they are independent. So Hypha platform space in this context and Hypha DAO have separate governance, separate membership, separate treasury. So that's the basics. The essence of the space is kind of in the space settings, and what each space has, which is essential. It has entry method. It has entry method, which right now we have three options, which is open access. It means anyone can join, kind of like yeah, you just click join and you are there. It has invitation, which means that somebody from space and any member from the space can go to the membership, create invite link and invite you there. And there is token base, meaning you can have any token that exists on Ethereum network. I don't know if how much you're familiar with Web3, but basically Ethereum like is where
Yes,
the most tokens, yeah, where most tokens are. So if the gathering, let's say that gathering has a token, you can say you can say, okay, you need to have 1 or 100 gathering tokens to access, and the moment you have it, the access is unlocked. So right now there are these three options, but over time it's going, this is kind of modular and customizable, and this whole idea was made that this entry method over time we can extend to other conditions based on kind of the needs of the people. So that's the first part. So you set up the entry method, how people enter. Okay, then they kind of, they based on what you selected, they either just join, they are invited, or they have certain tokens, then they are kind of inside the space. The second thing that you need to, that you are kind of, that is important to understand is voting method. So once the members are inside, the whole process is done through governments and it's done through the proposals. So once you are a member, let's say that there is some decisions to be made in this context, from the simple decision, okay, which, like, do you agree to use the Zoom as a tool or or Google Hangout? Like it can be something simple as that. So you then kind of go to the create part and you will create proposal. So right here, you see also different type of proposal. You have like the most basic proposal is collective agreement. And when you go to the collective agreement, you basically can specify the image, title, and some texts, and you publish the proposal. And when proposal is published, that's it. There is no anything fancy, no any outcome, nothing. That's the most basic one, but the others are more interesting from the kind of smart perspective, because they do something after it's voted. So for example, contribution is the one that we in Hypha use the most, which is like, okay, when I was like, let's say last month I did these things and I said, okay, last month I did all of this. Let me see to show you in the, because we launched recently, it's still not fully kind of, let me try to find some space that has, it doesn't have active things. We're starting to use from this week as official. So let me try try to find some space. Yeah. Okay. So you see this space, for example, has two proposals on voting. One is, should we kind of as a community purchase the batteries, or should we replace the defective solar panels? And to go back to example, this is example of just like the generic proposal where you just specify the title, the image, and kind of you said, okay, we need to do this. And when people vote, it's kind of like just decision to be made. But the other proposal that I mentioned, which is contribution, when you specify contribution, you have title, image, and all. But besides that, you have this bottom part, which is more interesting. Which, for example, as you said, okay, last month in the Gathering Mexico, I was organizing the calls and all of that, and you can specify, like let's say here it's not showing, but here, if you would be in this space, it will say Ale, right? And then you select your name. When you select it, automatically populates your wallet. You can say, okay, when do I want to be paid? Immediately, and you specify the amount. In this context, the amount can be in the like some cryptocurrency that represents like dollars or pesos or euros, or it can be in something like the Gathering token, which based on how it's built can represent different things, right? Let's say that maybe for the future gatherings, that's the way to access the event. So you can work for like fiat, like dollars, euros, pesos, or you can specify some amount, and then you specify it, you publish it, right? And it goes through the voting process like this one, where based on the voting settings that you specify, they have unity and quorum. Unity means how many people voted, like yes or no, and quorum is of those yes or no, what's the percentage of it. So based on the settings that you specify, if it reaches basically quorum and unity that is required, proposal pass, it means that automatically the tokens are transferred to your wallet. So that's one example of smart proposal. But there are others which I think you asked me about. Okay, if you have multiple camps and there are different owners of this camp, what are we going to do? So in this context, what would be the way to do it is that you have the Gathering space, then you have the Gathering Mexico space, right? And inside the Gathering, you can have different camps. You can have like I don't know, regen camp, forest camp, whatever, right? And then each camp can have each camp can then create proposals. It's also important to say that spaces can also act as create proposal on their own. So basically, it means that camp can say, okay, we as a forest camp needs these funds. So inside this bigger gathering space, they can create the proposal and they can say, okay, we need like 1,000 pesos to do this thing, and they posted in the Gathering Mexico, and then like people who are there, core team votes on that, and then the funds are transferred. So that's one use cases in this context. Other use cases is that you can actually model this ownership thing, where by issuing kind of ownership token, you are able then to work with them, right? You can exchange ownership, you can sell your ownership, you can do different things. Okay, there is some issue with ownership, but there you can do different things with the ownership token. So I don't know what's happening here. So that's kind of, yeah. And if you have any question, feel free to stop me. So that's kind of some three different types of proposals that are available here, like accept investment, right? And for accept, I don't know, they are not currently, we are fixing the bugs. They are not, but each of these proposals, except the second one that I show you, has some action, and these actions are very extensible, meaning that over time there can be more and more actions, and it's up to kind of people that use these developers that are present to build more of these things. So one action can be, I don't know, like if this proposal pass, add me to this WhatsApp group, you know, or things like that. So you can basically create all kinds of different behaviors based on the governments. And yeah, and then last part is that each space has treasury. What treasury means is that in the context of Web3, treasury is address in like you have address that is able to accept different types of funds. And the way to do it right now requires some exchange, and that's what we are working at the moment to kind of make this easy. Basically, let's say that you have sales of the tickets. So how would you convert the sales of the tickets into this space in the easiest way? Right now, what would you need to do is that you would need to go on some website of some exchange, crypto exchange, and then you would need to say, okay, I want to buy this many tokens, and then you would put your credit card, you would pay, and when you pay, the money will be there. So that's kind of the current bottleneck that we are working to resolve. But once the money is in treasury, it's real, and if you have, you can hold like dollars or euros, and then you can transfer them to the individual accounts, and they kind of have it and are able to use it. So the only, I think, issue is that from this conversion between fiat to crypto and then back, and it's there. If you never use Web3, then it's like you don't know what to do because you need to have way to transfer it. For example, in Mexico, you have banks that give you crypto account. So by having that crypto account, you are just able with one click to say, okay, I want to kind of exchange this $100 to 20,000 to 200 pesos, and immediately it's on your account. So that's one way to do it. Another way is to go to exchange and kind of sell your dollars for the pesos. So yeah, that's kind of in short the flow. And then last part that I started explaining is voting method. So right now there are three different voting methods that have very granular configuration. First one is one member, one vote, and that's kind of like classic democracy, right? It means that each member in the space has equal power, and that power never change. So it's like one member, one vote, right? The second one is one voice, one vote, and the way voice works is that the more you contribute to the space, the more voice you will have. So it's something that it's you receive, but you cannot send that to anyone. It's just it measures how much you contribute to the space by every time when you create contribution proposal, you specify, okay, this is how much is this in tokens, and it kind of calculates that in voice, and then you receive the voice. So based on that, it would mean that, let's say that you are in the gathering for a year and you are contributing, you would maybe have like 10% of the voice or 50% of the voice. And then I come today, I will start from 1%. So for the one voice, one vote, it works more on kind of contribution and level of your engagement. So the people who are longer there and who are more engaged, you can be in the space, but just being in the space is not going to give you the voice. The thing that generates voice is contribution proposal. So basically, that's kind of another dynamic that you can create. And the last one is one token, one voice, meaning that you can specify how much of the tokens actually influence. And this system can kind of be, how to say, in this context, some people can buy tokens. So it's more flexible what type of voting dynamic you can create. So yeah, and then each of these has two parameters: unity and quorum. Meaning, okay, at least 20% of the unity means how much percent percentage of members needs to vote. So let's say that in this space there are 10 members. If unity is 20%, it means that at least 2 members needs to vote. If only one person vote, proposal will not pass. So it's like, okay, at least 2 person needs to vote, okay, and then quorum is of those 2 people, how many needs to say yes? 50%. So if 2 people vote and 1 person votes yes, proposal will pass.
I would imagine that it's the opposite, no? Like quorum is how percentage of the whole group needs to vote, and the unity is how many they agree.
No, unity is how much, like 20% means of the, how what's the percentage, like in unity? Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's like
Quorum is
unity.
how many people who need to vote, and unity is from the
Yes.
ones who vote, how many have to agree.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's for the settings. And then from here, you are able to kind of do some other functions like create subspaces in this context. Like let's say that each camp operate as a space. So you would start with one big space, but then every time you onboard, uh, every time there is like in group, let's say people organize says, okay, we are starting the refi camp. Then you kind of create new subspace and then they are able to operate independently. But the question that people usually ask, okay, but are they actually able to access the treasury? And no, treasury still belongs to the kind of the main space. And then if you want, you are able to send the money from your treasury to their treasury, but that's your decision. It's not that people who participate in this subspace have decision over that. And yeah, membership removal, and these are kind of some other less important things. And yeah, the treasury page is shows you which type of tokens you currently have, how much you have them, and below it kind of shows what were the transaction, basically kind of like your bank account, right? What's the money that came, what's the money that went out, and what was the reason.
Okay. So for the moment, the treasury works only with crypto. The idea is that it will
Yes.
be full crypto.
Yes. The idea how it will work is that it works with crypto, but this because right now there are not a lot of things that you can do with crypto, but there is more and more. For example, here in Portugal, there is Eco Village that has their own token, and if you have that token, they like, for example, you can have one, or like for one token you are able to rent the room for a night.
Is it
So
TDF? Are you talking about TDF?
yes. So in that case, if you would have TDF, you will not, you could exchange it for euros. But if you have, let's say, 10 TDF, you can also use it in some specific. So the idea with this system is not that it's always exchangeable, but the idea is that over time you have different levels. So let's say that Hyper and Gathering then you can create this thing called swaps, where you can connect two token and says, okay, how much one hypa equals one gathering token. Let's say the ratio is 1-on-1. So what would that mean? That would mean that with gathering token, you are able to also buy things in hypa ecosystem. What are things in hypa ecosystem? Okay, there are different services like, okay, you can maybe, if you want to develop some features inside the Hyper, let's say you want some specific action in proposal to have, and let's say you have 10,000 Hyper tokens, rather than exchanging those 10,000 Hyper tokens to euros and then paying developers to develop, there are people who accept Hyper tokens, and then you just pay them directly. So the idea is not that there will be need forever to exchange, but there are some things that work in fiat, and if you are paying, like you pay apartment and all those things, right? If you are paying them in fiat, you can exchange. If not, you're then able to either use the token that you have, or you're able to swap that token with some other token that is supported, and then with that you can create the whole ecosystem of different things.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, I'm quite concerned about about the adoption of crypto, because as we're organizing the gathering, I guess 95% of the people don't use crypto yet, and they are going to pay with card. And the providers that we use likely, or like to rent the venue, we will pay with fiat, and most of the things will happen with fiat. So how could we handle, or is it possible to
Right now, there is second part.
is it possible to use only the organization function, the decision making, the proposals, and the thing, and have the treasury aside, like voting to approve a budget, and then once it's approved, okay, then someone
totally
on the real world does the bank.
And there is also another thing that the second part that is kind of not fully finished, which is mobile app, which kind of has most of this feature, but is much more simplified, because you just have proposals, you have wallet, and you have home screen. So the idea is that inside the mobile app, we enable this kind of we make this process easy. So in a way, what do? You just add your card inside the app, and then you can pay things, and you don't care about crypto, right? So this conversion will happen automatically.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
So that's the I think mobile app is more interesting in the context of the gathering, because the idea is that web space is created, it has more features, and it's created for people, for like core team to go deeper into some things. The mobile app has just kind of two things. I need to figure, let me see. I can share with you. It's kind of, it's like 80% finish. So let me just see. If I stop sharing, I don't know, it's here. Okay, mirror. You hear me?
Yes, now I hear you. For a moment,
do you see my screen?
Not.
No.
No.
Wait. Now.
Yes, now.
Okay. Do you see the mobile app?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, you see the mobile app is much simpler experience. You will have the dashboard. Right now, this is kind of showing some generic data, but the idea is that you have different statistics that you can show, and that will be dependent on the each use case. So you will have ability to visualize. Then you have proposals, right, which are much more simplified. You're able to vote on them and do things. And then you have wallets, where you're able to work with things. So in that context, if you are able to, right now, that's the feature that we are trying to figure out what's the easiest way to solve. If you just add your card, it will, and we integrate basically with these exchanges in the background. You don't need to do this conversion, but let's say you want to, let's say that in the event things work in the gathering tokens, you can just kind of top up, or automatically, you don't even need to top up, but just kind of automatically connect your card and do this conversion. So if you, there is one way to do it, as you said, manually, where you can do all the decision making, all the things regarding organization, and then if you want to do treasury things, then you do it like you send it from the account, or you can do it kind of fully automatic via this. So yeah, these are two options.
Okay. Yeah. It will be like a hybrid approach to start with.
Yeah, I mean, we in the V2, in the current version that we use, we didn't have this automation. So that's how we actually did it. You know, we have this option. There was like one additional feature because everything was manually. Because then we have treasurers, and then every time you request for payment, rather than being automatically paid, treasurer actually goes to our bank account. He sends the money, and then he marks the transaction as paid, and he adds like a reference ID of the bank transfer, and that's how we work until now. So yeah, it's a possible way.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I think this tool, like for onboarding people that is not yet in the Web3, it's complicated, and yeah, it's complicated to understand and to trust in crypto. But if it's just for organization, it's easier to onboard them and to use the tool. And once they see how it works, then it will be like a second step talking about crypto and getting them on board.
Yeah.
To actually use them. But yeah, it's a great tool for the organization itself.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm also curious to hear what do you what do you think? What were your concerns?
For the use of the platform, I don't know. I will face it like once we are creating these spaces and really doing things. Wait, I have one question. What is it? What was it? Yeah. So imagining how are we going to create spaces for the gathering, considering that I told you that there are two, I don't know how to call them, dimensions. So there is a core team with its 5 sections that I sent you last time. In the 5 departments, let's call it. And a part of that, there are the camps. So, and the camps form part of a group, because, for example, every day there is a camp council. So every camp send a leader to the gathering, to a meeting in the council, so we can talk about what happened the previous day, if there are concerns, questions, or recommendations, or anything. So they all form part of something, which starts building actually since we are incubating them, because the camp leaders are part of the nest. We call it the nest. So we do group calls to help them organize. Instead of doing one by one, we invite them all together. So that same organization can continue in the once the camps are established and operating. So how do you see, like, my question then is, can we use spaces or subspaces, or there was another category you mentioned?
No, spaces and subspaces. Yeah, I just said I think it should kind of naturally evolve. So when you say, like, rather than us like creating now this whole structure from the scratch, maybe you in the meantime you discover there are some different needs. But I can just kind of show. I can maybe send you just some example of this structure, so you have better understanding of how it would be. But in general, you will have one space, which is the Gathering Mexico, and that one space will have these 5 different areas like that you sent me last time. And then each of these areas can have sub areas. And each of these areas in this context will have members, and it will have governance. So each of them will able to kind of make agreements and do things on their own, and then all like you all can participate. So you can have, let's say you can have one big space, which is the Gathering Mexico, which in this context it can be like community space, meaning that that's kind of just where people first get on board, that everybody who wants to join, it can just be there. Then inside you can have like core space, right? And that core space can then contain these 5 different categories. So in that case, the core space can actually hold. I mean, in this context, if you don't use treasury, it's not so important where the money is. But yeah, there are different ways. So I think as as we go, and as there is kind of right now, I think you said you have finances, so we can start with what we have, and then as things progress, separate, because I think if we separate everything in advance, it can be super confusing.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we would need your help in the first steps. In the
Yeah, no,
development of
that's
the steps, and as we start like creating branches.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's the idea, because from my end, I am also trying to understand how some event like Gathering, which works more in like decentralized way. It's not like traditional event, how it works. And so I'm also learning, so that's why the idea is that I'm with you in this process, so that we
You're
can
part of the
learn.
experiment.
Yes, yes. It's not like, oh, I just kind of show you, tomorrow you create a profile and that's it. In this context, the idea is that I'm kind of with you, and I also share what I know about this process because Hypa operates, it's not just about tool. We also have councils, we have sense making process. So usage of this tool, like this tool is not, Hypa relies a lot on human processes to kind of fully work, because the idea is not that you automate and push everything to technology, but you just use technology for one aspect, which is good at, and then you also use kind of human discernment and other things for others. So, and again, these processes, the idea is not that like everybody needs to follow hyper way of doing them. There are just some ways that in 5 years of working, we discover what works. But I know that also like Victor and the Gathering works like that. So I'm also very interested to kind of learn from each other what are the ways to self-govern, and what are the patterns, because we are now, as we are launching, we have 3 areas in Hyper, which is knowledge, technology, and relationship. And this part is technology, but there is also knowledge part and relationship, and those are kind of areas that right now, in the past I was more involved in technology, but right now I'm really interested into kind of understanding kind of how people can self-govern, and how these tools help them, and all those things around the kind of this type of organization.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to see the base and to get inspired also from nature
Yeah, yeah, so
to do some
that's why it's this, yeah,
mimicry,
that's why this kind
explore
of post.
how many different species coordinate between themselves. Let's look at the most intelligent, like collective intelligent species, like bees or ants
Yeah,
or birds or fish. Let's
yeah, kind of
explore how do they.
swarms, creating the swarms. And it's interesting that you are also biologist. So yeah, you when you say fractal, I don't always use that term, because I don't know how many people are familiar, because it's like familiar in biologist and tech circle, but not so much outside. But yeah,
Mm,
I think you now do you now get the idea? What's like, you have this self-repeating pattern of the space agreement, like
mm,
governance, membership, and treasury, and that's it. It's like super simple structure that then you can repeat. And when you start repeating, you get this complexity, where then you have things inside the gathering, and that's one thing. But then you can have multiple gatherings. Then you can have multiple different like gathering and Burning Man, and then you can really create this super complex behavior just with these 3 things in the context of governance and value exchange.
mm-hmm. Yeah. It's great to start exploring how it works and see how it works
Yeah.
as we go on the road.
So your biggest concern is just kind of how deep people can go in the context of Web3 and that part.
Um, mm, well, I kind of understood the demo that you showed.
For the mobile.
Yeah, wait, I have someone in the door. I need to open. Give me a second, please.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Yes, I'm here again. Hello.
Sorry, I was muted. I said, you said you understood this part with mobile. I asked you, what was your biggest kind of concern besides?
What? Uh, I don't have so far. I mean, the demo you show, not with the mobile app, but with the website. I think I
Uh-huh.
will use it more with the website to
Yeah.
explore many different functions because I'm not very experienced in governance things and in coordinating teams either. So I think by seeing the functions that are proposed, I will give me ideas to how organize
Uh-huh.
myself. I'm operating in the other way. It's not like I know how to do many things and I'm asking you, like, do you have this function? Do you have this thing? It's the other way. It's like, okay, you have these functions. What can I do with them?
Yeah, that's so cool. No, that's very good. Yeah. That's why the idea was that we remove as much as possible so that when you use it, it can also guide you on its own. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Mm. Yeah, and yes, I would like to try it with the two people that answered the invitation for the first sprint. Only two answers,
Okay.
but it's okay. It's easier to
Okay.
start like a small team and see. Like I was imagining like that, for example. Okay, let's have the votation for the voting for choosing the place.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, over time, like two things that are in plan. One is this idea to simplify conversions so you don't need to think about it, and another is integrating more discussion things so that you can also use it as a discussion tool so that you don't need to rely technically. Right now, inside the proposals have comments. I don't know. Let me just share again to. So right now you have the simple kind of way to communicate with each other, meaning that you can propose something, but maybe somebody will say, no, I don't want that, but then you can kind of have discussion below, and then that can result, let's say that you can create, okay, I propose that we organize the thing in Bacalar, right? And then like other people say, no, I don't want that, and then you can develop discussion. So right now the discussion is limited to comments, but over time the idea is that there is kind of separate thing which is just for discussing, so that technically when you start, you have two things. You have like in person or like synchronous meetings, which can be in person or online. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you are not in person, you can use Hypa as a tool to kind of organize yourself. You don't need to have, I mean, if you want, you can have separate to-do list and all of that, but technically you don't, because you can, yeah. And those are the things that I can share with you, and the things that how we operated, and what are some things that we discover that work and that don't work. So yeah, to test them out and to see how they work for the gathering.
Mm-hmm. Yes, let's do it. Wait.
So
And
yeah.
by the way, would you? Well, you didn't register, so I didn't send you the invitation. But I don't know if you want to also be part of the sprint since the beginning
Yeah,
of
no,
the
I
sprint.
mean, I wanted to, because I kind of, one thing is Victor asked me, okay, let's figure out how to use Hypa for the gathering. So that's one part. But I also was like, okay, I mean, I would also like to participate in cap building, but not just, I mean, like to separate myself, into two parts. So one part is like me through Hypa helping you use this tool and kind of those things. But other part is kind of me participating for me and kind of in the participating in camp building and all those things. So I would also meaning if Gathering is not using Hypa, I would still register for the event.
Yeah. Okay, I have an idea. So you want to develop a camp, am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's do it. You're the second confirmed camp leader.
Okay.
So, well, yes, of course. It's better to start with you. There is also Mauricio Uman. I don't know if you know him. From
No.
Fractal. Actually, his project, his camp is called something about Fractal. I don't know what.
Where are they? Because
That's why.
we have some. I was not part of that, but Hypa had some calls with organization call. Are they from US or from Mexico?
No, he's from Portugal.
I think I don't know them because I was not on those calls, but I think they know Hypa.
Yes,
Okay.
his camp is called Fractal, and you
Okay.
can get to know him if you yeah. There are YouTube videos, there are interviews recording of the gathering. They interview him about the camp before and after the gathering, so you can hear what he's doing and how was his experience. And actually, he's an architect, so he was in charge of the land design for the gathering in Portugal, and he will
Ah,
help you to do the same in Mexico.
that's amazing.
So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
he's a great partner, a great person for you to meet
Yes.
because yeah, he knows he was inside the organization of the gathering of the physical space. He will be also in Mexico. He has a camp called Fractal, and he's the first camp leader confirmed. So we will start working with both of you to Haifa. It will be great.
Okay. Okay. And then another question that I just want to ask you, because we discuss when these friends that have this space, when we're speaking, they ask me about the music, and then I know that you mentioned many times, okay, there are 20 different topics and all of that, but how
Mm-hmm.
does music function on the gathering? Is yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the idea is to make the gathering as horizontal as possible. So musicians are welcome, and they're welcome to either create a camp or join someone's camp. And once they are there, they can propose, as anyone that proposes a workshop or a performance or a something, they can say, okay, we play, and they create their own event inside the gathering. So everyone's participation is like an event. We use well, in the gathering Portugal, we use a Sola Day. I don't know if you know that app. Sola
No.
Day is used by pop-up cities. So we use that website, and everyone can register their own activity or event, write the name, the time, and the description, and an image, like yeah, basic things for an event. So everyone register their event there, so you can access and see the agenda, the updated agenda all the time. So that would be the plan. But for musicians, for example, we need to coordinate on another level, not only register on the app and that's it, but to know at least of this for the stage. We're going to build a stage, and we will try to get some also consoles for DJing. So we need to coordinate at least that agenda, because otherwise people, yeah, we don't want two people to want to use the stage at the same time. So we need to coordinate that. There will be space, but yeah, the idea, their participation would be as normal people coming
So
to the.
it will be like not every camp will have their own stage, but they will use common areas, and then that's the idea, right? It's not like in Burning Man where each camp is kind of completely self-sufficient on its own. Here you kind of have common infrastructure, and then each camp organize the program around that common infrastructure.
It's a bit of both. Like each camp has their own, the camp tent. So camp leaders have to rent a tent, a big one, for their camp. So a tent for, I don't know, 15 people or 20 or something. so they can have like their intimacy and their space for camp activities. And participants can choose if they want to do their activity inside their camp tent or if they want to use the main spaces, the common spaces.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So it's okay. And okay, I think I have so much question for the gathering, but I think that can be part of this call that you want to start.
Yes, let's have a call specifically for you as a camp leader, or for both of
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
You're both
Yeah.
on. Yes, do you have already a name for your camp?
Yes, I think because Adri and me kind of have the project that we are working, which is solar, and this event first was called Solar Night, so I would call it just solar.
Solar, just
Yeah.
solar
Yeah.
camp.
Solar camp.
Oh, nice, great. Yeah, I love it. Okay, sounds amazing. Yes, it's perfect because you know that you want to do the camp and I need to
Yeah.
start testing the IFA, the platform. So it's great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, because I don't, it's like for me, it was also, it's not that I want to be like, that's why I told you, we are also in Hypa exploring and understanding. So it's not that I want to approach it like, oh, you should use Hypa and try to kind of convince you to use the Hypa. I'm really also curious because I'm kind of using it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I'm like, if this was not related, if Victor didn't suggested this, I would also apply with a camp. So yeah, that's why and I don't want to kind of in this context have Hypercamp because this is project that we are working on in Mexico, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's more authentic for me to kind of build these two things and kind of use this tool so that I can be like, okay, here is Arseny as a camp leader using Hypa. What are the issues and what and then it's like, okay, here is Arseny from Hypa helping Ale and others kind of what are some self-governance patterns. So I feel like by separating rather than creating hypercamp, that's what I'm trying to say. I think for me it makes more sense to create something that is separate so that I can actually use the app and kind of go back between these two.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Also because sorry, you wanted to say something, Adri?
No, no.
Ah, hear her voice. Um, yes, also because it will be more like a normal camp, let's say somehow.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
other camp leaders, because we will create this group for the camp leaders, so the nest, and then you will be in the nest with other camp leaders, and everyone will start to use it. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
just that you're proposing. Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
I love it. I'm very
Okay.
excited.
Yeah, me too. So let's get this call. I'm wondering, it would be great to have the interviews in Spanish because we're trying to convince people in Mexico to come. I mean, I find that people outside of Mexico, they are already excited and they're already convinced. Like it's super easy.
Yeah.
but Mexicans, it's like, nah, I don't know. But there's more work that we need to do to onboard Mexicans for being camp leaders. So
I have,
maybe.
yeah, I also
Mhm.
propose, I also propose to these friends, it's like their family, but I also said to them, one thing is like you should apply the space, but another thing I said there is like male friend and female friend, she's like very good at organizing things and she also helps in their space. So I said, I mean, I think you can be very good if you want to kind of create your own camp that's not like it's not part of that space because she has a lot of friends and she was also working in corpo, but then she chose to kind of step out of that world, but their space kind of works in that way that they bring they bring their audience is basically people who come on the weekends from Mexico City to kind of get away from the corporate lifestyle. So yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of asked her. I don't know if she's going to apply. And then I have another friend who I wanted to invite, but her mom recently died. So I mean I'm waiting to go back. Yeah, I'm going in August back to Mexico. So I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe by that maybe this can help him kind of I don't know I didn't want to kind of bother him with that So I will see when I come to Mexico. So I have two of them as potential additional camp leaders, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. That's awesome. Yes, it will be much more easier for people to understand what are we asking them to do once they start watching the interviews and the explanations that we're going to record.
Okay. So when you interview, you want me to speak Spanish? That's what you're saying.
It would be great, but I mean, I don't know how.
Okay, I mean, I can do it, and then if I kind of cannot remember, I can drop some English words like
Yes, no problem. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
if both of you want to be on the call, like Adri as well, it's great because.
Okay. So I will. Yeah, Adri is here. So can you invite then? I will. Let me just drop you here. So you recorded this call, so I'm officially registering. So it's not that you're just this and this.
Well,
Hold on.
the official register is when we record the.
Okay, the first call, the onboarding.
Yeah, instead of signing a contract of you are building a ramp, it's a video. It's a public commitment that we are focused on.
I like that.
Yeah, I will see with Victor what are the things we need to record on the video, and then I will send you the. It's not like questions, but kind of.
So, okay, is that separate? Is that separate from the kind of? There is that part, and then there is like a group call.
Yeah, for the group call, it's not yet defined.
Okay.
Like, first, we need more camp leaders. Like the group so far, it's two people, Mauricio and you.
Okay.
Yeah, that will be in a further stage. But yeah, the first step is the onboarding. So it's the recording of this video, and then the incubation is when we start working with the nest.